Hi everyone, welcome to Impact Academy. Today let us continue with the SNT. Okay, last class we have seen till 20 questions. Let us continue with the 21st question. So recently, which of the following villages has been selected as best tourism village by the United Nations World Tourism Organization? Okay, so let us. So recently in 2023, the Dordo village in the Kutch district of Gujarat was awarded the best tourism village by the United Nations World Tourism Organization. So tourism Dordo village in Gujarat, Kutch district. Okay, and also from salty marshland to an iconic destination of the Western Indian subcontinent. Okay, Dordo, remember that. Okay, tourism was launched to Run Utsav, 4-month festival whereby special tent city was created in the desertic land with all necessary amenities made available to tourists. Okay, so remember all these things. Run Utsav frequently we see in the news, right? And Mawling Nong is a village in the East Khasi Hills of Meghalaya. So Meghalaya, we have this Khasi, Jaintia, and all these hills, right? So East Khasi Hills, Meghalaya. It is notable for its cleanliness and also was chosen by Discover India magazine as Asia's cleanest village. So Asia's cleanest village is Mawling Nong in East Khasi Hill district, Meghalaya. Try to remember that. Next, the remote village of Malana is nestled in the pristine Bharati Valley of Himachal Pradesh. So, Himachal Pradesh, Malana, okay? Unique customs and all these things, everything is fine. So, just remember where is Malana? It's in Himachal Pradesh. And Udanturai, from the name itself, you can make out somewhere in South India, Tamil Nadu, okay? Energy generation to another level, even in general, also wind energy, okay? When it comes to wind energy, Tamil Nadu is one of the top players of wind energy, okay? The village not only produces their own electricity but also sells it to state government. Villages come up with self-help ventures, wind power generation. So as I said, when it comes to wind power, Tamil Nadu is at one of the top player. They have replaced grid electricity with 9 kilowatt biomass gas fire, etc. etc. Anyway, so remember these things. Dordo village, okay, Ranutsav, which is in Kutch district, Gujarat. Okay, it's a desert, salty marshland desert area. Because of this Ranutsav tourism, it has been selected as the best tourism village by UNWTO. That is one thing. Mauli Nong is in Meghalaya. Malana is in Himachal Pradesh, at least, and Odanturai is in Tamil Nadu. Remember roughly. Okay, so recently, which of the following villages has been selected as best tourism village by the UNWTO, which is Dordo. Okay, Dordo, which is in Gujarat. And we have seen Mawling Nong, Meghalaya, Malana, Himachal Pradesh, Odanturai, Tamil Nadu. So, with reference to the global climate finance regime, consider the following statements regarding the least developed countries fund. So, let us see what is this least countries developed fund. So, the least developed countries fund (LDCF) was established at the 7th Conference of Parties in 2001. Okay, COP 7, 2001, to meet the adaptation needs of least developed countries. Okay, so least developed countries fund, such a fund is there, and it has been established in COP 7, 2001. Okay, so LDSF is active in sectors including water, agriculture, food security, health, disaster risk management, prevention, infrastructure, ecosystems, etc. So global environment facility we have already seen, right? It's a funding facility. It provides funding for several of these Minamata Convention, UNFCCC, and all these things. So global environment facility administers this LDCF also, Least Developed Countries Fund, as a specialized trust fund for several programs. Okay, so GEF is the administering body and all these things: infrastructure, food security, health, disaster, etc. So LDCF aims to address the needs of the 51 LDCs. So there are 51 least developed countries which are particularly vulnerable to the adverse impacts of climate change. As a priority, LDCF supports the preparation and implementation of the National Adaptation Programs of Action (NAPA), which are country-driven strategies that identify immediate needs of LDC in order to adapt to climate change. So basically, this National Adaptation Programs of Action, okay, NAPA, and there are around 51 LDCs. Total, there are around 190 plus countries, near to 200 countries in the whole world. So out of that, 551 have been identified as least developed countries. So in order to cater to the needs of the least developed countries, especially adverse of climate change, because of climate change, global warming, some of these small islands may disappear completely. Okay. So now let us look at the question. So it was created by the Marrakesh Accords in the 17th Conference of Party in 2011. So this is wrong, right? It is created with COP 7 in 2001. Okay, and it is yeah, that's it. Conference of Parties 2001, not 2011. It aims to address the needs of 51 least developed countries which are particularly vulnerable to climate change, which is true. It supports the preparation and implementation of the national adaptation programs of action. So this is also true, right? So B is the answer. Only two. How many of the above two? These two are true. This is not through the what is Marrakesh Accords in the 17th Conference of Parties, not 17th. It is the seventh Conference of Parties 2001. Okay, this least developed countries fund was created. So this GHG program. Okay, we have already seen what is GHG. Let us see. Okay. So the India GHG program led by WRI India, Confederation of India Industry, CII, and the Energy and Resource Institute, TERI. Okay, it's an industry-led voluntary framework to measure and manage greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so GHG is basically greenhouse gas emissions. So India GHG program is a program to measure and manage greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so that you can make out from the name. And what are the organizations that are involved? It is led by WRI and CII and TERI. The program builds comprehensive measurement and management strategies to reduce emissions. Okay, to all this is fine. The program is supported by Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation, German Federal Ministry of Environment, and Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, etc., etc. So this it will be tough to remember, but generally you can remember TERI, CII, and WRI, and there is one thing called as the India GHG program, which aims to measure and manage greenhouse gas emissions. At least try to remember that much. So, the India GHG program is an industry-led voluntary framework to measure and manage greenhouse gas emissions. Just remember what is GHG program and remember WRI, CII, and TERI. That much is enough. So, in the context of nanophotonic electron accelerator, recently seen in the news, consider the following statement. So, let us see what is nanophotonic. So, recently scientists have made history by successfully turning on the world's smallest particle accelerator for the first time. So, it is the world's smallest particle accelerator for the first time. Small coin, okay, and potential variety of use of miniature particle accelerator for medicinal purposes, etc., etc. So, the NEA is a cutting-edge technology made up of microscopic microprocessor and even smaller vacuum tube made up of thousands of individual pillars. So all this comes under nanotechnology. Okay, we have nanotechnology in the syllabus, right? So this is the new development, NEA. By directing microscopic laser beams onto these tiny pillars, researchers have developed a way for accelerating electrons. So all this is fine. So there is this CERN Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, world's largest and most powerful particular accelerator. So this is also frequently asked. Okay, Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. This CERN. Okay, nanoscale precision. The interior of the NEA tiny tunnel is around 225 nanometers. All this according to this institute. You cannot remember all these numbers, but okay, it is of nanoscale precision and acceleration of electrons. Okay, they effectively increased electron energy, and this is the first successful activation of a nanophotonic electron accelerator. So this is the first time a nano level acceleration of electrons has taken place. It is a particle acceleration of on a microchip. Okay, so in contrast to large particle accelerators, the LHC uses almost 9,000 magnets to create a magnetic field for particle acceleration, whereas NEA uses light beams focused on the vacuum's tubes pillar to magnify energy, resulting in far lower energy field. So basically, the large hadron collider uses 9,000 magnets, and NEA is using light beams. Okay, remember that. Possibilities for medical applications. One of the key goals of developing these small accelerators is to exploit the energy released by accelerated electrons to deliver tailored medicinal treatments. So basically, the major use of this is medicinal. Okay, to provide nano medicine. Okay, nanomedicine is very important, and also it uses light beams. The LHC is using magnets. This is using light beams. So and results in a far lower energy field. So all this is about this nanophotonic electron accelerator. Okay. So what is the answer? It's C. How many of the above statements are correct? So it is the world's smallest particle accelerator which has been turned on for the first time. This is correct. One of the key goals of developing this nanophotonic electron accelerator is to exploit the energy released by the use of miniature particle accelerators for medicinal purpose. So we have seen. Okay, major purpose is nanomedicine. Okay, NEA uses light beams focused at vacuum tubes. So this we remembered NEA uses light beams, and the Large Hadron Collider is using magnets. Okay, so whatever you can remember, roughly remember. Don't try to remember all the numbers and statements, etc. Just roughly keep in mind that there is something called as the nanophotonic accelerator. Okay. So e-waste rules management 2022. This is very important. Okay. E-waste rules, which is quite recent. It has come. It's very important because day by day the amount of e-waste is increasing. So e-waste rules management 2022. These rules shall apply to every manufacturer, producer, refurbisher, dismantler, recycler, all these people who are in the processing of e-waste or electronic equipment. So we've already seen what is e-waste, right? It contains batteries, okay, the plugins, batteries, and toxic material, toxic battery material, mercury, and all those things. But they shall not apply to waste batteries as covered under battery waste management rules. Packaging plastics are covered under the plastic waste management rules. Okay, micro enterprise as defined in micro, small, and so it does not apply. These e-waste rules 2022 does not apply to waste batteries covered under this particular battery waste management and packaging plastics and micro industries. Uh, Among the MSME, it does not cover the micro and radioactive waste as covered under the provisions of the Atomic Energy Act. So, e-retailer means individual company or business entity that uses an electronic network such as internet, social media, etc. So, basically Amazon, Flipkart, and all these things. Okay. So, historical e-waste means e-waste generated from electrical and electronic equipment as specified in Schedule 1, which was available on date from which those rules came into force. Anyway, orphan products means non-branded or assembled electrical and electronic equipment. So orphan means which does not belong to any one particular brand. So extended producer responsibility means responsibility of any producer of electrical or electronic equipment as given in Schedule 1 for meeting the recycling targets. Okay. So extended producer responsibility is responsibility of any producer, okay, as given in the Schedule 1, who is to meet the recycling targets as per Schedule 3 and Schedule 4. Okay, so no need to go into too much depth, just know that there is something called as the e-waste rules. Okay, e-waste rules 2022, and general statements you can identify. Specifically, you have to see where it does not apply. Okay, it does not apply to these things. In MSME, it does not apply to micro. Okay, MSME Act 2006, I'm sure everyone is aware. It does not apply to radioactive waste. It does not apply to waste batteries already covered under this act, and it does not cover the packaging plastics. Okay, now let us see what's the question. Consider the following statements with respect to e-waste rules. These rules do not apply to waste batteries and radioactive wastes. So yes, we have already seen these. It does not apply to radioactive waste and waste batteries. Also, packaging plastics. Okay, and we have seen um, waste batteries, packaging plastics, and micro enterprises. So they might ask whether it applies to MSME or only micro, only small, etc. So basically, micro. So very small enterprises, these rules do not apply, because as it is, they have very low budgets. If you apply all these rules, they will not be able to make profit. Okay, so it defines e-retailer as a company which deals in e-waste online. So e-retailer is not e-waste. Okay, e-retailer. So e-retailer is any company which deals with electronic networks, such as which a company or a business entity that uses electronic network. So any products that are traded come under e-retailer. It need not necessarily be waste. So this is wrong statement. It defines orphan products as those produced more than 5 years ago. So it's not about the age. Okay, if it is a branded company, it is not an orphan product. Basically, orphan product is if it is a non-branded company. Okay, so only one is correct. This one is correct. So e-waste rules, okay, is also important. So with reference to zero budget natural farming, a term often seen in news, which of the following is correct? So ZBNF is very important, frequently asked question. Let us see about ZBNF. So zero budget farming promises to end reliance on loans and drastically cut production costs, ending debt cycle for desperate farmers. Word budget refers to credit and expenses. That phrase zero budget means without using any credit. So basically, zero budget, what they imply is you are using so many naturally available fertilizers, pesticides, and everything, so that you don't need to go into the debt cycle. Okay, because farmers are not getting what is a institutional credit, they are going for these money lenders and etc., and they are falling in the debt trap. So zero budget promises less production costs and no debt cycle. Next, the main aim of ZBNF is to eliminate use of chemical pesticide and use biological pesticides, and promote good agronomic practices. Okay, so obviously zero budget natural farming means not using any chemical pesticides. Okay, instead you use earthworms, cow dung, urine, plants, human excreta, etc., etc. So no chemicals, only biological. Okay, organic or natural. So it has attained wide success in southern India, especially the southern Indian state of Karnataka, where it first evolved. Okay, Subhash Palekar. Subhash Palekar. This question is also frequently asked. Who started this is Subhash Palekar, who put together the ZBNF practices and the State Farmers Association of Karnataka. Okay, this KRSS, and mostly Subhash Palekar. So it started evolving in Karnataka and became very successful in southern India. But in general, this ZBNF and all these things, currently it can be used only for the small scale of production. Okay, so in order to have a large scale of production to cater to the food security of whole country, these organic farming and ZBNF are still not enough. Okay, in order to produce food at such a large scale, we still need to use these commercial what is it, fertilizers and pesticides, etc. Okay, so So, with reference to zero budget natural farming, term often seen in news is it is a method of farming done without using any credit or without spending any money on purchased inputs. Okay, which is true. It aims to eliminate the use of chemical pesticides, which is true. Okay. And it is not practiced in India. This is wrong. It is practiced in India, more popular in South India, especially Karnataka. Subhash Palekar and KRRS. Okay. So only 1 and 2 are correct. 26A is the option. So the worldwide governance indicators is often seen in news. It is an initiative of worldwide governance indicators. So let us see what is that. So raising concerns of the use of World Bank's worldwide governance indicators. So World Bank has brought about this worldwide governance indicators. Obviously, governance indicators means it is ratings assessment by credit rating agencies, especially for emerging economies. Chief Economic Advisor V. Anantha Nageshwaran said there is a need for the World Governance Index to be more transparent and less subjective. Okay, so this worldwide governance indicator is mostly for emerging economies. Okay, and it's a rating system. So because recently what happened was many of these international rating agencies are giving low rating to India because we are not completely following their foreign policies. Okay, for example, US wanted India to completely support Ukraine in that Russia-Ukraine war, but India is taking a neutral stance. So similarly, in several issues, India is taking a independent decision, okay, without towing the line of several what you can call these so-called Western powers, okay. So because of that, what happens is, as a tit for tat, these uh, ratings, many of these credit ratings and all these, most of these indexes are controlled by the Western powers, okay. So they'll try to downgrade India's rating. So that is why our chief economic advisor V. Ananta Nageswaran said there is a need for World Governance Index to be more transparent and less subjective. Okay, the World Bank's worldwide governance indicators provide a ranking of 215 countries, territories based on 6 dimensions. What are the 6 dimensions? Voice and accountability. So we're talking about governance. Okay, governance. So voice and accountability, political stability and absence of violence, government effectiveness, regulatory quality, and rule of law and control of corruption. Okay, so this index was developed in 1999 by two World Bank researchers, Daniel Kaufman and Art Gray. The data is uploaded annually each September. So this index, okay, this indicator, World Governance Indicator, aggregate data from more than 30 think tanks, international organizations, and NGOs and private firms across the world, selected on the basis of three key criteria. They are produced by credible organizations. They provide comparable cross-country data, and they are regularly updated. So the data is taken from these organizations. Those organizations have to be credible, and they have to provide cross country data, and they have to provide regularly. Okay, from such organizations they are going to take data, and they are going to look at these things: 6 dimensions of governance, voice and accountability, political stability and absence of violence, government effectiveness, regulatory quality, rule of law, and control of corruption. Okay, so the worldwide governance indicator is often seen in use. Okay, it is a initiative of World Bank, and we've seen Kaufman, right? Daniel Kaufman and Art Gray, 1999. So all these things you have to remember. So it's an initiative of outright. It is World Bank, right? Not all these things. It is a initiative of World Bank, and also remember those other things. So consider the following statements regarding the United Nations Environment Assembly. Okay. So United Nations Environment Assembly. So let us see what is that. So the UN Environment Assembly is the world's highest level decision making body on environment. Okay. So regarding environment, this is the highest one, UN Environment Assembly. It's a universal body with the membership of all 193 UN member states. Okay, so the United Nations has 193 member states. That means only a couple of countries are not there. More or less, all the countries of the world are there. And regarding environment, this is the highest. Okay, and it meets every 2 years to set global environment agenda. Okay, and the policies, guidance, and all these things. So it meets every 2 years. That is one thing. And established in 2012 as a result of United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development. So and this is also known as Rio plus 20. Okay, so this Rio is the UN Earth Summit, which happened in Brazil, Rio. Okay, so there also we're talking about environment. So plus 20 more countries, Rio plus 20, UNEA established 2012. Okay, sustainable development. So remember that UN General Assembly then adopted resolution on strengthening and upgrading United Nations Environment Program and establishing universal membership of its governing council. Okay, all this is fine. So what are the key functions of the UNA? Setting environmental priorities, developing policy frameworks, monitoring and review, strengthening environmental governance, promoting sustainable development, and all these things. Okay, with common sense, by looking at it, we can say identify. So always look for those statements where if asked in a question format, if you will be able to identify or not. Okay, so all these things, if it is given in a statement format, what are the key functions of UNEA? Seeing it, setting environmental priorities and all these things, just by looking at the statements you can make out, yes, that is right. So always look for where there is a deviation from the standard. Okay, for example, this thing you need to remember. Okay, it meets every 2 years. So if he asks 3 years or every 1 year, you should be able to identify. Okay, and these 2012. Okay, it was established in 2012. Rio plus 20. So UNEA, okay, UNEA is governed by Conference of Parties, COP, which is composed of representatives from all 193 UN members. The COP meets every 2 years to deliberate and adopt decisions on environmental matters. So the Conference of Parties is also very important. It is meeting every 2 years, and this is about United Nations Environment Assembly. Okay, so consider the following statements regarding United Nations Environment Assembly. It was founded as a result of UN Conference on the Human Environment in 1972. It's not right, right? So we're not talking about the Stockholm Conference of 1972. We are talking about this 2012. 2012 Rio plus 20. Okay, United Nations Conference of Sustainable Development. This UNST 2012 Rio plus 20. That is where United Nations Environment Assembly has been established. So first one is wrong. Stockholm Conference is not related to this. It is the world's highest level decision making body with near universal membership for matters related to environment. This is correct, right? So all the 193 countries are there and it is the highest level decision authority for environment. The session of assembly is conducted every year. So this is wrong. Okay. It is conducted once in every 2 years. So only one is correct. This is correct. This is wrong. This is wrong. So option is A. So consider the following sources of energy: wind energy, nuclear energy, solar energy, biomass energy, geothermal. How many above are included in the renewable energy? Okay, so wind, nuclear, solar, biomass, they all are renewable. Okay, easily you can make out. So the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy in the nodal ministry of the Government of India for all matters relating to new. Okay, so everything related to new and renewable energy, there is a Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. The broad aim is to develop and deploy all these things, and also we have several targets, right? Net carbon zero by 2070, and reduce 1 million carbon emissions by 2030, and all these things. So several goals are there. Okay, to increase this capacity to 450. Now it has been revised to 500 gigawatts. Okay, 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. So what are renewable energy? Wind energy, nuclear, solar, biomass, and geothermal. Also try to remember the order. Okay, usually solar energy will be highest. Okay, solar energy will be highest, followed by wind energy. So this is installed capacity of renewable energy sources in India. Roughly, solar is 48. These are old figures. Let me show you that. So these are the current figures. Okay, try to remember these figures. As of March 2024, renewable energy sources, including large hydropower, have a combined installed capacity of 190 gigawatts. Okay, so this is 2024. As of 2023, it was, what is this? India is the third largest producer and consumer of electricity worldwide. Try to remember that. India is the third largest producer and consumer of electricity worldwide with a total installed power capacity of 411 gigawatts as on 2023. Okay, this is including everything. And out both fossil fuel and renewable. Okay, renewable and non-renewable. Out of that, renewable energy, it was 168. Okay, and solar 63, wind 41, etc. Now, in 2024, this is the latest, that 160 has become 190. So, as of March 2024, we have a total renewable capacity of 190 gigawatts. Try to remember that. Okay. See, all these targets are here. India has set a target to reduce the carbon intensity of nation's economy by less than 45% by the end of the decade and achieve 50% cumulative electric power installed capacity by 2030. Okay. So, right now, if you look at, we already seen all this, right? That 24 private sector, all these things we have seen. So, out of 400, around 160. So, it is not even half. Okay. So renewable energy is still not near to this 50%. So by 2030, we are aiming to achieve 50%, and this net zero carbon emission by 2070, that is also very important, and 500 gigawatts of installed capacity by 2030. So right now we are at 200. You can say still there is a lot of huge way to go. Okay, so now it is 190, and we expect to become 500 by 2030. So all this is important, and solar power is usually highest. Okay, So solar power is 81 gigawatts and followed by wind power 45. Okay, then see large hydro. Large hydro is also usually high. Okay, small hydro will be very less, 5 gigawatts. Large hydro is 46. Actually, in this case, large hydro has exceeded wind. Okay, and biomass and all these things small. Okay, waste to energy is less than 1, biomass is only 10. Okay, usually the top are solar energy, which is 81, usually followed by wind, but now the large hydro has increased. Okay, so try to remember all these things. So here solar is saying 48. So this is obviously old thing. Now it has reached almost 80. Okay, it has almost doubled. 80, and wind is 45, hydro is 46. Okay, fine. So what is the question? Question is simple. Which of the following are renewable? All five are renewable sources of energy. Okay. Anyway. So consider the following statements with respect to carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviation, CORSIA. So let us look at what is that. So, as a specialized UN agency to address all matters related to international civil aviation, so it is related to international civil aviation. Okay, this CORSIA. CORSIA is the first global market-based measure for any sector. Represents a cooperative approach that moves away from patchwork of national, regional regulatory initiatives. Okay, all this reduce emissions. Okay, so roughly remember CORSIA. Okay, CORSIA means related to aviation. Aviation reducing the emissions from aviations. That means these flights and all. Okay, and all these things, domestic GHG are dealt with under UNFCCC. Okay, all domestic greenhouse gas emissions are dealt under UNFCCC. Okay, United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change, and under this we have this Montreal Protocol, Kyoto Protocol, and all these things we have seen, right? So UNFCCC is the umbrella organization or umbrella program. Okay, so greenhouse gas emissions are associated with internal aviation and maritime transport are to be dealt under ICAO and IMO. Okay. So in general, greenhouse gas emissions are taken care by UNFCCC as a parent program. Under that, aviation is usually dealt with ICAO, and maritime emissions are dealt with IMO, International Maritime Organization. Anyway, this CORSIA will be implemented in 3 phases. First phase, participation is voluntary in the first phase. Second phase, participation is based on states RTK level and voluntary participation. So anyway, don't go into too much depth. Just understand this UNFCCC deals with greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, and CORSIA is the first global market-based measure for international aviation for reducing emissions. Okay, for international aviations. Now, what is the question? Consider the following statements with respect to CORSIA. So, it is the first global market-based measure for any sector that offers a harmonized way to reduce emissions from international aviation. Okay, so that is correct. Unlike the pilot phase, participation of state is mandatory in its final phase. Okay, so answer is A, that is only one only. So for the pilot and first phase, participation is voluntary. For the second phase, participation is based on state's article level and voluntary participation. Okay, there is no mandatory. It is based on state's article level and voluntary participation only. So this is wrong. Okay, unlike pilot phase, participation is mandatory in this final phase is wrong. It is not mandatory. Okay, it is voluntary, and it is related to international aviation reducing carbon emissions. CORSIA, Carbon Offsetting and Reduction Scheme for International Aviation. Okay, if you remember the full form also, you can answer half of the question. Okay, we'll continue in the next class.